Hello, everyone, and welcome to the writer's room. Sorry we were late. Um, I'll just go and let my co-hosts introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. So, Barrett.
I'm Barrett. I'm gassy. Tiffany.
I'm Tiffany. I'm migrainy. Hey.
Well, I'm Morgan, and I'm still congested. So,
There you go.
we're doing great.
We're killing it.
Mhm.
Well, we'll go through the chat and say hi to our friends. But today we are workshopping a story from our very own Tiffany. So we'll be helping her out with her story. So let us say hello. JC was here early. Hello. And Eva's also here. And Margaret having white beans and tomato sauce and jollof rice. Ooh.
Ooh.
Esther's here. Hello. Just finished ramen with dumplings. Nice. Oh, this is not nice. The kid had another fever.
Oh.
This
School?
is the homeschooling.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 For so many reasons other than just the fever.
For many reasons.
Yeah.
He only went to school 6 days this year so far. Whew. Between
dear Lord.
of sickness and weather.
More weather coming, I think, this week, right,
Yes.
guys? Aren't we
Yeah, I
getting
think
more?
so.
More weather coming this week.
I'm over it.
And cold, negative
I
temperatures.
saw the negative temperatures. I'm like, what is
Great.
this?
Ugh.
She
Wish it was 100% remote learning.
Same. Can I get that for work? Just like a 20-minute work check-in. Like, I was
Yeah.
pay me.
Well, keep it, Deidre.
Oh,
Oh, sorry. I saw the last one. She's like, we're sending it over.
Oh, I blame Deidre for this cold stuff. I mean,
Right?
yeah.
I'm going to keep it. Oh,
The kiddo's in daycare for 2.5 weeks, and 2 of those weeks she's been sick. Ugh.
no.
Oh, Bobby.
Oh.
I did read there's like 2 different strains of flu this year, and one of them's really, really bad.
Yeah.
My whole family just had the flu, so not I, but my mom, not my mom, my sisters and my brother.
Yeah, I think it's running through people pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to going back to wearing a mask if I have to go out.
I've been wearing a mask.
I'm happy to.
Just this week, just because I've already been sick and it was just a cold, thankfully, so I don't want anything else.
I've got some.
My concern is my father, because even during the dreaded 5 years ago thing, what is it? The post office was his favorite place to go, and it still is. And I'm like, do you know how many people go through the post office? Let's just stay at home.
Wow. I can't think of a place I'd less like to go.
Right?
I hate the post office. They're so mean.
I don't know what it like. The post office and the bank, those were his 2 favorite places during 2020, 2021. It was like he was there almost all the time. I was like, I don't understand.
Bad lighting, no snacks.
Those are awful. I used to work in a bank. Trust me, you don't want to touch half the stuff that's in there.
He does, in fact. He does.
Oh, way to go, Richard.
Victoria. Gassy, sassy, and a little smart assy.
Oh, that's actually really funny.
Yeah, we always are.
Posh beans on toast.
Have you guys ever watched the thing I just watched? What is it? It's like these British people who bring British stuff to U.S. students for them to try, and they just did one with the beans on toast.
Yes, I have actually. Like other countries bring over and they try it. Yes, I think those are hilarious. By the way,
I love it, and it's so much fun to see how many people actually like it and how many people don't, or like they kind of like it. They're confused by it, but they're like, "Why is this good?" Yeah, he never made it to the DMV. He didn't expect you.
I love my post office. I don't love my.
I
It
don't
smells
like
like stamps and
just
peppermint.
because they're
I love
mean.
my libraries. I would sit in our local. We have some amazing libraries here in Columbia. So and
But our
famous.
libraries weren't open though, if you remember. Because
I
I
know.
would have gone to the library. But
Yeah.
no, he just I don't know. That was his daily run. He'd randomly go to the bank or he'd go to the post office. It's like, can't you stay at home? Everybody else is on lockdown. You want to go to the post office.
It was the only place he could go.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. We went to Costco.
We made it through the comments. So let us get started.
So what are we working on, Tiff? What are we doing?
What are we doing?
All right, guys. Well, I am thinking of dipping my toe into a little bit of a different genre for a couple of reasons. So I will kind of give you the backstory a little bit, and then I'll kind of tell you why. But number one, I don't know if anybody subscribed to Hallmark this winter. I did because I'm foolish. And they had this wonderful mystery show on that was called Mistletoe Murders, which I think somebody told me is a podcast or something like that. But the idea of it was this woman who comes to a small town and, crimes and wackiness ensues. And of course, she's one of the people who can help the police officers solve it because it's a cozy mystery and police officers don't know what they're doing in those. And I love the fact that it was kind of 8 episodes. So it was like every 2 episodes solved one mystery, but there was kind of this overarching mystery throughout the whole season. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of like that idea for like a series kind of a thing. And so I came up with this kind of version of that that could work for my small town that I am currently writing in, Bliss Haven, which is why there's the big city Brexley right next to it. But it would be an FBI agent, not a police officer, and a journalist would be my kind of, I guess, sleuth, if you will. Yeah. And I have the idea for what I'm considering like the first season or maybe the first 3 books, if you will, if I do it as full size or if I do it like individually as small, like high write Insta Love shorts, staying in that 20 to 30K kind of range, where it would be basically it would be 4 stories, but it would be divided between, say, like in that version, and they would kind of have cliffhanger, if you will, possibilities. And part of the reason that I'm considering this is in the United States, this lovely place that we have, some of the states are trying to do some different things that makes it very difficult for open door romances in our country for the foreseeable future. And the great thing about cozy romance is that it's still romance, but there is no sexiness on the page.
You can't go to prison for it.
Yeah, or be fined lots of money.
Makes sense. That tracks.
And I already had the idea, and so if I need to pivot, this seems like a good pivot because number one, it does keep my specific readers that I have already in a town that they're familiar with. It uses characters that also they are familiar with because I have introduced in name in the next book that comes out, you will actually meet this person, the journalist, that would be the protagonist, if you will, of the series. We just don't know a lot about her except for that she's a little mousy. And we'll give you, what I say, she'll give you the shirt off her back, even if she's still wearing it or something like that.
Okay.
And she definitely sees the good in people. So I thought that would be interesting. And the first story would kind of center around an ex that she had in college. And so, because, you have to have a reason why she would get involved.
And she's our investigative journalist.
She's not an investigative journalist. She is actually a Like, what's the word I'm trying to? Yeah, I went to J school. I know the journalism titles. She is kind of like
a journalist, or like more of a fluff?
Not so much fluff, but the person who really, I can even think, I can see this section of the newspaper. I'm so mad at me right now. She's like the person who does all the different events that are happening in the town. Like, she writes about the different events. She writes about like the people in the town.
Lifestyle, like lifestyle section.
Lifestyle. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Why, it's in my title. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna stop talking now. So yeah, she's like the lifestyle journalist.
Okay.
I haven't decided if she likes that position and she kind of, or she wanted to be kind of the investigative journalist, or if she's just happy where she is. And I almost like the idea that she's happy where she is.
Like happy where she is, and then stumbles on a story that she feels she has to tell. Like,
well, I feel like it's more she's happy doing the lifestyle journalism. Like, it's comfortable for her. Like, she's happy with her friends. She's happy in her life. You know, like it's comfortable. Yeah. Like, she's very into this specific world. She likes her small town. She likes her little set of friends. She likes all of her people. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. And then she stumbles into this. I do know she's going to interview her ex-boyfriend, and two of his fraternity brothers own a brewery in the town. And something happens, and the ex-boyfriend is kind of the primary suspect. And he comes to her and he's like, I remember you used to read all those mystery stories in college. You know, like, I need your help. And because she's that person who anybody, you know, like, she thinks she's going to pass it on to another reporter friend, and the other reporter like can't do it or something. And so then therefore she kind of finds herself helping, if you will.
Okay.
And then of course the FBI dude comes in, and then that's like the connection between the two. And the FBI guy has a history where he's kind of a little grumpy.
Okay.
But he's also extremely overprotective because of his past.
Okay.
And so he definitely doesn't want her involved. And the overarching mystery does deal with his past more so than her past, and kind of coming back to throw a monkey wrench in the get along, as they say.
Yeah, I think I agree with Margaret. The Fed stereotype's good with the grumpiness. Also, from my experience, the Feds that usually get put in field offices in like Siberia, not really Siberia, but like in the middle of nowhere, not in a city, are also grumpy, because then they don't get the best cases and they're not working the big ones and they're grumpy. So, and I think it's part of a series, right? You're gearing up to do a full series of this.
It would kind of, be a series.
And so the overarching storyline you're thinking of, would it be like a serial? So it's a cozy.
It's not a serial killer or anything like that. It actually has to do with the FBI dude's past and a former relationship.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Like Castle.
I see how you got there. I'm trying to think. No. But yes.
Murder, She Wrote, or
maybe for the journalism part would be that. This brings up a good question, because again, I didn't necessarily want to kill people, but every book that I read said for it to be a mystery, someone had to die. Right. But I was like, why? Because there could be like I had like a corporate sabotage type of something, and like a missing person. And so I was like, why do they have to die? Like, these are still mysteries. Well, but so I'm debating that.
Does it have to be an important character to die? I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like, a character can die, but it doesn't have to be central, like a close enough character that your characters like know them. Do you know what I mean? Like your corporate sabotage, for example, someone could die from the corporation, right? That you're investigating, or your person's like investigating or looking into, or do you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't have to be close enough to them. Right. You know what I mean? Not cozy mystery. Yes. Yes.
Cozy romance, right? Or cozy mystery.
Well, okay. So for me, that's where here's the two places that I'm torn. Well, three places that I'm torn. Number one is the idea that someone has to die, because I still feel like there are mysteries where people don't die, but you still have to like solve them.
Yeah.
So that's part of where I'm torn. So I don't know if that then becomes cozy romance versus cozy mystery, because to me, a mystery is anything you have to solve. The second part is I feel like because it is a mystery series and because I have never really written in that genre per se, I may have to outline, and I'm not really an outliner. So I don't know how that would play out, because to me, by outline, I feel like I wrote the story and then I'm not interested anymore. And then the third place is I know how to drop like little nuggets and clues and stuff like that, but I always kind of question where do you go that the misdirect doesn't become too far gone, where people are like, wait, how did you get back to that person? For who actually did it. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're supposed to give red herrings and make people kind of think certain things. Right. And I can do that, but I also never want to quite go too far in that, where then when the real person is revealed, they're like, no, I didn't see that coming. I don't get that. How'd you get there?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Morgan, do you think it'll help a little bit with that if it's shorter? Like if you do stay at the 20 to 30,000 word mark, I don't know that you'll have enough runway to lay enough groundwork to lose someone that way. Now, some of the people who read them more can back that up, yes or no on that. But in the ones I read, at least, that are longer, the ones that get really long are usually the ones where I have to go back and like reread, be like, okay, where did that happen? Because it gets a little long in the tooth and I missed a couple of things, right? Where I feel like if it's shorter, then you won't have as much runway to like lose, you know what I mean?
I can see that.
Lose your hints, you know what I mean? Lose the little nuggets that you leave them.
I can see that.
Oh, that's interesting. JC said, oh, hi, Emma and Laura. I see they came in. JC says you can do death off the page, but still have them investigating a death that happened already. Oh, I see. So it's like a death that you know, or your characters know about, but isn't central to the story. It's
but like okay. Here's my problem with cozy mysteries in small towns. Here's my problem with like castles. Here's my problem with Murder, She Wrote. Like all of them.
Problem with Murder, She Wrote?
Well, I mean, I love Murder, She Wrote, but here's my problem with just the cozy mystery in general kind of scenario of these things. In New York, okay, sure. Like Castle is set in New York. I could see that there could be a plethora of people who are getting killed randomly. I wish that wasn't our society that we live in. Okay, fine. But at some point, if you keep killing people every other month in these cozy romances, either people are going to move or everybody's dead. And as someone once said, they were like, I love Jessica Fletcher, but 11 years of just randomly stumbling onto murders, like I wouldn't want to go anywhere that she's at. So
she's always safe. I'm like, I want to be right next to Jessica Fletcher. Like whenever the murderer comes in the room, I want to be right there, like just right next to her, because she always lives. That's all I know.
So that's always kind of my thing, is that especially because if you're going to use the word mystery, technically a mystery is anything that needs to be solved.
Right.
So it's not necessarily just murder, but it seems like that's the only thing that people focus on in these. And so that's why that's the hindrance for me, I guess, if you will, is because I don't want each story to always have somebody dying. I think that there are other murders that you can explore. Or other mysteries that you can explore. Other murders that you can explore.
We do
other
too.
mysteries. Like maybe we could
True,
kidnap
yeah.
somebody. You know what I mean? Or again, like there could be all kinds of different stuff because I don't want to kill off everybody in the town, JC.
What if like you said you wanted an overarching mystery, like over the whole series, right?
In theory, there is a kind of an overarching. There's a backstory that our FBI agent thinks happened in his world that
Mhm.
when we get closer to the end of the first 8 books, if I keep it as small, we find out that didn't actually, what he thinks happened is not what happens, or what actually
That could
happened.
be a murder. The overarching, if people want murder to be thrown in the mystery somewhere, so you don't have to kill. It doesn't have to be a murder like every single book, and then the rest of the books can just focus on like a crime or a mystery or something that needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And then the overarching thing is like,
Oh, sort of like oh, sorry, Morgan, but Liz, do you mean like a Desperate Housewives, like how the gal committed suicide and she's like the narrator, you're trying to figure out through the seasons like why she died.
And I could do
All
something like
the
that.
stories,
Would be kind of a cool idea. I don't mind that.
yeah,
like sort of like that.
Mhm.
So that's a great. I think that's a great idea. Then you're murdering one person. It
right.
takes a while to figure out what that is, and you can drop. And maybe all the other things are
Yeah,
like
all the mysteries are like somehow connected to
connected to that murder.
Yeah,
That's an interesting way of doing it. I could possibly do that.
pull up some comments. I'm kind of behind.
I like somebody else. What did they say? I don't remember. I saw it. It was like like Laura had like blackmail, theft, secret identity, closed adoption. Yeah, like those type of.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of exploring other mysteries other than just murder. And I'm not opposed to there being people who get killed in the town because, again, that's the society we live in, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, or somebody dying or different things. I'm just saying, again, like who keeps moving or visiting these small towns when every other week someone's getting killed?
I think the secret is, though, you kill the out-of-towners, right, before they can leave a Yelp review. So if people come to town and you kill them before they check out.
But again, once more, JC, that's kind of your interpretation of mystery. That's not necessarily my interpretation of mystery.
Yeah.
I think the fun is in solving it. It's not necessarily just fun because someone dies. I think
if somebody gets kidnapped or if somebody starts robbing all the houses in the neighborhood.
I like to see how we solved it. I like to see how they figured out stuff. I like the motives of people. You know, like that's what draws me into a mystery is more the motives and the whys and like how people figured it out, like the puzzle pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That comment reminds me, I read a short story one time that a friend wrote that I still think was amazing, and I wish she had turned into a book. And it was, I didn't realize until the end that the person that they were investigating was the main character. And neither did the main character.
Ooh.
Right? They didn't realize until the end that they were the missing person. Like they didn't know they were the person on the milk carton, right? Like, so it was like they were a podcaster. They were doing
TikTok about that. They were
doing like a true crime thing. They were investigating it. They're in the town. They get to the end, and then they realize, oh, it's me. And I loved that twist. Like, I thought that was brilliant. So that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. But something about Victoria's comment made me think of that story, and it stuck with me all that time later. So anyway, that was a great idea. Someone take that and make a book out of that, because I love that idea.
So where did she go? JC's point, I do get that that's not necessarily your interpretation, and that is why people love the mystery genre and write them, which does beg the question, because every book that I have read about writing a mystery, they do seem to lean towards, yes, somebody has to die. So it does. Part of me is questioning, would I even want to market this as a cozy mystery? Or would I market it as a cozy romance with just mystery subplots? But then I think, because I know the romance genre and the romance reader that I'd almost have to have somebody falling for someone in every single story. And if I have an overarching love plot, then that doesn't work either.
Okay, I see.
So that's where I'm torn on where this goes. And once more, not trying to reinvent the wheel, just trying to get it to roll for me. So I'm trying to figure out where the balance is, because I don't want to upset people who, yes, think every book has to have a murder, but also I want people like me who are like, why are they killing off every single person in the small town, to, and likes the mystery element of mystery, to have something other than just murder as well.
Well, so two things. One, do we think that because maybe you read in that genre less, you're unable to suspend your disbelief in it the same way you would for romance?
But I do read cozy mysteries.
Oh, okay. And you still have the same thought?
Yeah, it's still one of, like, I watch, I live on Hallmark cozy mystery movies.
Oh, and I say
and then I also have, like, the Roy T. Gardens. I've read the books that coincide with that. The Murder, She Baked, I've read a couple of those books. There's a T mystery series, a cozy mystery series that honestly, if I had the money, I would easily option those and sell those to Hallmark because they feel right up Hallmark's alley. There's what is it? There's another series, it's paranormal, but like it deals with vampires and it's set in England actually. That's really adorably cute. That I've read that. There's another one that also is paranormal. So I do read, I don't know if I'd say I read those as much as I read romance, just straight romance, but I do read them quite a bit. And then again, I also am the person who does, stay up in the middle of the night watching Murder, She Wrote marathons and Castle and all of those type of things.
So good point. So several good points have come up in comments whilst you were talking. First of all, Stephanie, up at I don't know what time, but Dee made a great point about an author who doesn't have murders in every book. But
I haven't read all of Stephanie Plum. I think I've only read maybe 2 of. I know it's Janet. With the E is her last name. I don't know if I've read all of hers.
So then Victoria says this, which I think is interesting because I wouldn't have thought of this, but I bet this is probably true, or you'd have to read them somewhat in a similar order. You might have to read them in order if the clues for the overarching murder are revealed in each book.
Probably, yes.
You might. So that's probably true. But,
Laura said her mother's read a cozy mystery that wasn't a murder.
I mean, I say do it. Who cares?
And based on the definition of cozy mystery, it doesn't say it has to be murder. It says crime fiction where there's an amateur sleuth trying to solve whatever the crime is. So
well, and I know it's always an amateur sleuth. Somebody asked, was there going to be an animal element? Yeah, they normally have a pet of some sort. And so I have all that kind of figured out.
Right.
Because she is a journalist. She's not one of the regular policey people.
Right.
She has a brother in my series. There's a component where her father used to actually work as an ME in a major city, and then he moved to the small town. I can't remember why, but I'm sure it's in my notes when I was just spitballing things off my head. So because I needed her to have some type of connections, I guess, if you will, in that world, and so I was trying to come up with those type of things. I don't know, Eve. Yeah, I saw that.
So
I don't know when it would be coming out. It's going to depend on when I can actually sit down and do it, because I have
I like that.
Some other stuff that are.
There really is just a ton of things, though, you can run with on crime. I've have at work since I've had to like shut off my emotions and feelings. Started podcasts while I work for doing budget. So I've been listening to lots of different crimes that people do. And we have some amazing ones here in America, like some amazingly dumb criminals that do some
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
just stupid things. But
I didn't watch The Mentalist. Okay,
really good one. Oh, The Mentalist is good for yeah. So, but I think there's just tons of great like little, and especially in a small town, like there'd be a million little like crimes one could do. Now, one may ask themselves after a while why this town is such a like criminal hellscape. You know?
Well, okay, so like that was one of the things that I kind of
not
like.
Murderville, but like God, they got everything else.
That was one of the things that I kind of liked with the Mistletoe Murders was like one of them was like someone kind of too, I think Eva said something about it could be murder that happened long in the past. And so that was kind of the thing, like someone had died way in the past. And I do believe someone actually does end up getting killed in this. But one of the stories was someone was trying to solve that one, which then led to someone then doing other stuff that seemed small, but that was the mystery they were trying to solve that then led to the bigger mystery of the murder type of a conversation. And so, and like to this point, the first story that I have planned out, someone does die. But I don't then want to follow it up with somebody else then dies in the second story and then like in the next story. And then, you know, I just want to experiment with kind of some of the other stuff.
Okay. I mean, I like it. Yeah.
And I do agree that there are people in real life who do really stupid crimes.
Oh, and yeah.
And
yeah.
I do love a mystery podcast as well.
Oh, like I didn't even know they were a thing, and now I've been sucked in and down the rabbit hole. Now I'm like yeah.
I have one I could send you. It's about these two sisters. It's ridiculous.
Send it. Someone sent me one about one in Missouri. Now, first of all, I don't like snakes, so I listened to it because it was about snakes. He's a snake breeder, but I spent a full-on 2 days listening to 12 episodes, and I could not quit.
This was the one I'm thinking of.
I knew it from the beginning. I said from the beginning it's his wife having an affair with the neighbor, but no one would listen to me in my office.
This one, yeah, JC, it is the one I had you start listening to. It is like two sisters, and there is a murder, like one of the sisters ends up dead. But the whole mystery of how they figure everything out, I was like doing some stuff and I full on stopped paying attention to everybody else because I was like, no, what is happening? So yeah.
Well, I cannot imagine murdering someone to breed a certain color of snake. Actual crime. Like actual crime. Now the snake they bred, they sold for like $140,000. So like then I was like, who's paying $140,000 for a snake? Then I wanted to Google like, who are the dumb people paying $140,000 for a snake? And I wanted some pictures to show up, and it did not.
Well, I mean, it's probably some. I could think of people.
140,000. Okay. Like,
but if I had to think about it, it's probably the same people who know certain animals they're not allowed to hunt, and they pay extreme money to then hunt animals that are like borderline extinct.
Well, okay, but here's my thing. Does that not mean we need to revisit the tax code? Because if you have $140,000 to spend on a snake, I need you to be paying more in taxes. Like that's it. And I need to eliminate the cap on the salary or the Social Security cap on income. But that's a different discussion.
And that's JC does have a good point for the snake skin, maybe, because then some people will then pay.
I didn't think
even more for like those type of
I didn't think of
or
that.
something like that.
I know, right? It was this. No, you know what it was? It was just that it was these weird colors, like purples and orange, like stuff people had never seen. And like so they were like breeding these snakes for these crazy colors. And it was all like 20 miles north of where I am right now, which almost made me want to move because I was like, wait a minute, I'm 20 miles away from where they were breeding these snakes. I need to leave the country. But
I mean, I'm not opposed because I do know mob. What is it? Mob and organized crime is huge in the romance world. I'm not opposed to like a women mob like group that are queen pins. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, mob and I feel like Deidre can talk more to this because mafia romance is kind of something that she kind of dips her toe into or has a love of reading, if you will. And yeah. Oh, see, she already said, she's like, I have those books written too.
I'm like, can we get Gwenna to write us like a mom mafia? You know, like
I feel like that's just certain area PTAs.
You know it exists because you know some of those moms are like, so and so's allergic to peanut butter. Bring the peanut butter cookies.
I mean, I'm just saying. I feel like those kind of something already are there. Yeah. I used to have my friend. Okay, I used to have one of my friends cracking up because we were big Twilight fans, and every time they showed Jessica, Anna Kendrick's character, I was like, you just know she's that mom later on in the PTA that kills somebody for her daughter to get on the cheerleading squad.
Yeah. For sure.
I remember be like, absolutely. Oh, see, has a PTA cousin.
Okay.
Very good.
So yeah, no, there's nothing about the PTA queen pins that I don't doubt.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't helped you at all.
Yeah.
Well, but okay, do you have, because I was going to say, because we kind of beat the stories to a dead horse, but do you have suggestions for how I can get around outlining? Because I really don't want to outline.
Well, I mean, definitely. So I think you can get around. So to get around outlining, do we agree you're going to have to definitely at least know your like overarching story? Like you'll need to.
Okay, here's the thing. I do know. I watched what's the lady? I can't remember her name. Hold on, I'll look it up because in case anybody else is considering, it was a YouTube series that she did. And it was really good. If I can find it. But she did this whole YouTube series about writing cozy romances. And so I was watching hers, and in one of them, she had this really great kind of, because Richard's here, I'm going to call it a spreadsheet. Where she had, it was like suspects, motives, something. It was like 4 different things. And so the idea was you were supposed to write all your different suspects, write like kind of what their motive is, why people think they did it, and then, something else. And then of course, circle the person who actually did it type of thing. And so I thought that was an interesting idea to kind of give me, if for no other reason or something else, like kind of where I could find those red herrings and who to point to and stuff like that. And it gave me a sense of what each character could be doing or why they would be acting how they're acting.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think it was you, Martin. He was here earlier. Maybe he left.
Busy destroying the Department of Education.
Jane Kalmus, Kalmames. That was who did the series.
I mean, I don't think you'll have a problem pantsing it. Your revisions will probably be a little tougher, is my guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, do you like you have to edit it on the back end. Somewhere you're going to have to either before or after to get the red herrings and the mystery and to make sure it goes. So, in the back end.
So these are the 2 things I don't love doing. Thank you, Morgan.
That's just the reality. And it doesn't have to be a big, extensive outline. Like, it doesn't have to be pages
No.
and pages. It could be a simple bullet point outline of like, this is the mystery. These are the points I want to hit, and
And
just do
here's
it
how the
that way.
mystery ties to my bigger story, maybe. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like just very,
It's still an
very
outline.
basic.
I mean, I can do a bullet point kind of an outline that doesn't necessarily give me that still feel like I wrote the book type of conversation. I think
Yeah.
it's more when I think about doing like the in-depth, like chapter by chapter, what needs to be
Who's
in there
doing
type of
that?
outline.
Who's got time for that?
Yeah, no one's doing that. No, I'm
I
just
can't
kidding.
even write a
Some
growth.
people are, but
Who's
if you
writing?
don't need it, then don't do it. Like, just do the main points that you need to make sure you hit, just to make sure the mystery is gonna go through.
Yeah. Well, and I guess like so what I guess I'm wondering, like on your murder, like is your murder going to be somebody who is good or bad? Like are they innocent or guilty? Like are they someone who had it coming or not? Because then that's going to determine what all the little mysteries in the other stories, how they're going to tie back. Was the person
They
pushing?
kind of had it coming, but not for the reason that they get killed.
Oh, okay. So like so that's like, okay. That's interesting. Like I can, okay.
Yeah. No, not Chandra.
So, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bullet point, red herring, suspects.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think overdo it, but have enough to guide yourself. Because I think otherwise you'll get to that point where you get to your revisions and your red herrings will either not make sense, like they made sense to you at the time, but it's sort of like being bipolar in the middle of a manic episode when you're drafting, or at least it is for me. You get to the end and you read it back and you're like, whoa, like who is this person high on Yoo-hoo and donuts writing this for 3 days and no sleep? Like what does this mean? And it doesn't quite make as much sense as I thought it did in the moment, right? And it won't all tie together. So then I have more work to do on the back end.
Yeah.
But I agree with Morgan. I think just basic bullet points like who, what, when, where, and
because then Regina says she goes back and plants her red herrings because you don't need until you finish the story.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, go back and lay those out.
That's kind of a cool idea. Because I do
vision pass.
Do know I do already know, like who see Richard is here. I do know like who in the first story, I know who dies, I know who they think is the killer, why they think that person is the killer. I know who is the killer. And then I also know who like why the killer killed them. And I know why they think that the person got killed, even though that's not why they got killed.
Okay.
Which I know, without saying what it is, sounds really confusing.
That's a
but
good
it
idea.
isn't when you're there.
Yeah. We could get your juicy juices flowing by doing a mystery next time we write our story thing together.
Oh, yeah.
We could make it a mystery.
Well, I will say, you guys saying the bullet point things that I need, I do feel like I could sit down and do that, which does kind of break the barrier of me thinking.
You write 10,000 words in a day. Of course you can sit down and write 11 bullet points in a half hour. What are you talking about? Of course you can.
No, I meant like knowing that I don't have to do like this massive outline. I feel like I could actually sit down and maybe start writing. And I do not write 10,000 words a day, like every day.
Like, Tiffany.
Yes, Richard.
Yes, he's our next guest.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Wait, having a person die for a completely different reason is a great red herring. Oh, that's a good idea. That's not a bad idea.
Mhm.
All right. I kind of thought that was your daily. I know. I thought you just woke up and did that. That's a good
And
idea
see,
too.
this might be a good idea because I have not necessarily. Actually, I've read a mystery story pretty recently, but I haven't read them for like looking at where the beats fall. I've more been reading, like I think I read 2 different how to write a cozy romance or how to write a cozy mystery books, and those have certain beat points.
Beats.
Yeah, that I was like, well, I don't know if I'd hit those especially if I did in a shorter version than necessarily in like a full length, because this was definitely for a full length type of a thing.
I mean, you lost me with feature length video. TLD dub. Too long, did not watch. In genre mysteries, having the wrong person die is a familiar trope.
You even asked, like, how long is a feature length?
Right? Can I get the AI to go and watch it? Could you?
Y'all are so funny. Again, in our world of attention spans.
Summarize that for me.
It might be like a 45-minute video. Is that considered full length or feature length for
Not for her. She can go an hour and a half. Really. She gets wound up, but I can do an
hour and a half?
If her cat pops in the back though, I can handle it because then at least there's like a pet or something to look at. But like,
she has an hour and a half videos. I haven't watched her.
Right. That's what I was like. I don't think I've ever seen
watched her in a while.
She does.
Oh no, I've never. No.
Anything more than hours. Feature link.
I've never seen that one, Deidre. Romancing the Beepa for Mysteries. I've never seen that. Well, she's a wild child.
I guarantee that's the first review like that she's gotten, Richard. Oh, that's the truth. It's the medicine. It makes me tired. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do feel like you guys have helped because now I can come up with kind of a reverse or plot beat kind of outline, because I have everything else. Like I know all the characters. They don't all have names, but I do know the characters. I know the location. I kind of know what happens.
I mean, this has to be what it feels like to just show up at work and get credit for showing up. Because, like, did we do anything really, Morgan? Like, I don't know.
We didn't.
I don't know. I feel like we work at the toll booth.
Okay.
I was like, oh, did we? Because I'm like, I don't feel like we work at the toll booth. We just sat there and said $2.45, sir. And we're like $2.45. It's like, okay. But
let me bounce my ideas off.
Yeah.
No, but also, guys, this is kind of how we are when we are meeting, like, and it's not on screen. Where we do
mysteries without the murders. I don't think you have to have them. Like, I do think that whole discussion was worthwhile because I don't think you have to have that.
So even Deidre says that's how backstage is with Tiff for brainstorming feels. So yeah. Also, I think
just show up and let her talk.
I think you I can't talk. I think you also helped in the sense of I liked Barrett's suggestion that if I do keep it shorter, I probably wouldn't run into as many like kind of veering off random places.
You just want time.
Type of thing. So I don't feel bad about the idea of keeping it short and maybe having a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end.
I always like the cliffhangers. I know some people don't like them, but it makes me want to keep reading. So I don't know.
Now I do question though if I do Esther's like, I just show up and let Tim and D talk. I do question if I do it similar to the TV show, and maybe you guys can give me your opinion on this, people in chat, whatever. Because the way the TV show worked was like you had one mystery that spanned 2 episodes, but that mystery was wrapped up at the end of those 2 episodes. But the overarching mystery, maybe there was something at the end of those 2 episodes that tied into the overarching mystery. And so I do question if I do that, should I maybe release the 2 stories like kind of back to back and then maybe give a little time before the next 2 stories come out? Or should I still keep it kind of like how I release my romances now, which is say like every 3 weeks or once a month or, you know, something like that?
I mean, I know my answer would be based on my reading habits. Morgan, what would yours be?
I don't know.
I feel like if the 2 stories would be resolved together, you'd want to release them together. Because like JCs of the world who would, and I'm not like calling you out, JC, but I think this would be you, would get both and read both right then. And if you didn't release both, you'd hear about it in the backstage, and you'd be, what's in the second book? When am I getting the second book? What's the second book? When I get, you know, so just release both at the same time, right? But then as far as like the distance between the 2, of like how long, I don't know how long that would need to be. I'm like, I don't, that's just how fast you can write, right? Oh, look, she disagrees. She says,
I know, I actually saw that. I was like, interesting.
Wow. I would have thought there were more binge readers too, but I guess not. So listen to JC, she reads them. So leave the cliffhangers and leave long waits between the books.
I know that I'm of 2 minds about it, because while I don't mind a cliffhanger, like I'm with you guys where you said, you know, you don't mind a cliffhanger, or JC where she's saying like, you know, cliffhanger builds the wait. When I was watching the TV show, I did wait until both episodes were released, and then I watched both. So that I didn't have to wait. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. That's why I put it to everybody else, because I was like, I don't know.
Oh, so okay. Well, whatever wait seems reasonable. I'm with Esther. I'm a binge reader and binge whatever I'm reading, because I want it all right then. Like I'll wait on a podcast to fully release before I listen to it, because I'm not waiting week by week. I ain't got time for that. That's 1980s mess. So we left that back with 3 TV.
And I do like most things. Like I'm watching Paradise right now, and I watched the first 4 episodes, and now episode 5 is out, but I'm like, I need at least episode 5 and 6 before I can watch it again. Like I can't just watch one.
So but I think that's individual, you know what I mean? So as they're saying, they'd wait in between, which for marketing purposes probably makes sense. I think they're talking, Regina, about shorts. So about a series that would be short mysteries.
But it is like the idea I got while watching a TV show. So I guess that's where you're like, is this a movie? Is this a novel? Like, what are we talking about? But the TV show is based off of a podcast. So everything's based off of something. I don't know.
You do? I was that way about traders for a little while, and then I had to stop doing that too and letting them build up, because I have to have Alan Cummings outfits just come at me all at once.
I haven't watched Traders, but I've heard good things.
Oh, everything. So good. It's what's getting me through America right now.
I did question, because it is like 2 episodes or 2 books would make one mystery, but there would still be that cliffhanger for the overarching mystery. If maybe I should release the 2 and then there's a pause to build, I guess, the anticipation that everybody's saying that they want in the thing, and then release like the next 2. because that would give me time to then write the next two.
Yeah.
So like 2 at one time, month, 2 at one time, month, 2 at one time, like that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I was thinking, like, say, like, okay, like let's say they're not, before I say this so nobody thinks this, but let's say they were coming out next month, because I don't write that fast. But like, let's say there was one maybe the first of the month, and then one maybe like the middle of the month, and then maybe the next two books would then come out in like June. And then there'd be one the beginning of June, one like the middle of June, and then like the next two would then come out like October or September or something like that.
Oh,
And then it'd be like that one. Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of what I was somewhat thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
Dee has thoughts that she's holding on to.
Yes, that's what she's holding on to them until she can tell you about the 2 or 3 new things she
Yes, no, not next month, Esther. Not unless y'all just want the notes. Oh no. I have other stuff I have to write before next month. So I'm still not finished with the books that are supposed to be coming out next month.
I love it. We might learn some new names.
Are we talking pen names? Because it is Deidre, and that sounds like true.
Accurate.
I did think about that in the sense of
A pen name?
well, more in the sense of all the randomness that's going on in the US. I did question if it would be better to do it under a pen name, because then it wouldn't be associated with the other books.
Well, so this brings up a good point that I wanted to ask about, because I've been reading up a little bit about like some of the stuff with regards to like books that could disappear. And I think Margaret talked earlier about the way that it looks like they intend to do this, at least when it comes to Amazon. So we kind of
okay, I haven't heard how they're considering it for Amazon.
Okay, so Kindle is switching to a model where you can no longer download at a certain date certain. So you will not be able to download any longer to Kindle. It will only be kept in a cloud-like library, which will then allow them to pull down anything that is banned. Right? So then they'll be able to
buy it.
Doesn't matter. They'll be able to pull it down. So they'll be able to take it back and pull it down. That's the whole point. So the point of the change is the change in terms of service of where you own the books that you have that are digital. So what I'm wondering is when you use a pen name, is it under your same Amazon account? Because what I'm curious about is that enough? Like, is that enough of a difference?
I do believe that yes, it is. And again, Deidre could probably speak to this a little bit more than I can. But I do remember when we were setting up Des LeRae, because that was one of the conversations that we had with whose Amazon we were going to use, because of everything being under one name, and then Des also eventually wanting to TradPub. So that was part of our conversation behind it. And so, yeah, I do believe everything is under one name on Amazon's side. I haven't dipped my toe into the pen name genre, if you will, or world, but that's what I've kind of live under the assumption. Because I remember we were looking it up because we were going to start a Des LeRae account and put it that way, and you can't do that. Like, you can't start an account under a pen name.
I will be very interested to see the videos, the podcast, the discussions that start happening in the AuthorTube space over the next 6 to 9 months, as some of these We've seen it in Oklahoma. I now have heard of three states that are, one of them being Missouri, that are pushing through similar laws through committee that are interesting. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see as these start to speed up. They were all talked about in Project 2025. So folks that have gone and read about it if you wanted to, too late now. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see how it works.
I have a conversation about that, but it's not YouTube appropriate. So.
No. I think it'll be interesting to see what it's going to look like, because there's got to be a way. I mean, authors have to be able to separate off. They're not going to be able to shut down people who have written one thing and then keep them from writing stuff in the future. I wouldn't imagine. So there's got to be a way to, I don't know. There's got to be some workarounds. So I'll just be interested to see those videos pop up. People start talking about how they're working around it and what they're figuring out. But I agree. I think author storefronts are going to be the new frontier. That's going to be the new thing.
I do agree. And I have had conversations in background about certain options in that conversation, as well as past depending. Certain things that could possibly be done, certain ways that could kind of affect what you do and how you do it, that again aren't YouTube friendly. So
yeah. And I agree. Lots of people saying things like physical books and buy from the authors. Continue to do those.
And that too.
Those are good things to do. So do those things. But yeah. What a world. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well,
on that note,
we're gonna wrap it up like that.
But I mean, like, I don't know, if you see Tiffany Romance show up, I don't know what it would be. Writing a cozy mystery, like no.
Yeah.
With covers that have nothing on them except for the title, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
okay.
Thank you guys.
Like Deidre's like, it's about to become Deidre Wright Sellers. So, yeah.
Everyone tip your waiters, because we're probably losing the regulation to pay the minimum wage, and we hope they're not children. But welcome to America. We thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you. Sorry, next month. I said next week. Next month, Richard is our guest. If you would like to join us, we have a sign-up sheet. And if we don't have someone sign up, we will probably do our writing thing where we write a story from prompts, which I guess now we'll do some mysteries just for funsies, because Tiffany's doing that. So I do think that would be funsies. There
she is.
So more. So, and maybe what we'll do is we'll pull random people from the audience. Like maybe we'll see if we can get some of our audience people to join us. Like we did, didn't we? Kind of like we did with Regina's. So we'll just say, hey, can we pull people in to write with us? So we will just see. So Richard, we will open your spreadsheet now and read it this month and be ready to slide into your spreadsheet and fix it for you. Well, everyone, wear your seatbelt.
Laura says, pick me.
Pick me, yay! Well, yes, Laura. Avi.
Do you want to do outros?
Bye.
Y'all know us.
You know it. Love us.
And we'll see you next month.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.